there folks, on behalf of Astromatrix, welcome. I'm Marcelle and I'm here today to talk to you about the Aquarius Stellium that is playing out all of February. Before I dive into that, I just want to ask you, please, if you do enjoy our channel, to like and subscribe to our content, as well as ring the notification bell so that you can get our regular updates. And then I also want to mention that at the end of each explanation, I always like to pick a few tarot cards just to give some understanding of what's playing out for the month. Right, so let's dive straight into it. So what is a stellium? A stellium is when we have 3 or more planets in a certain sign or house. And so the reason why this month is so incredibly important is because we happen to have 6 planets in Aquarius. So Aquarius is the sign of freedom. Aquarius is the future. Aquarius is innovative and unique and eccentric. And we've just come out of last year where we had all these planets, Jupiter, Saturn and Pluto, in Capricorn, really dealing with strong, heavy powers of corruption and the top-down heavy powers that have control over the masses. So what's happening now this year is that we're moving into a lighter energy where these shifts are needing to happen collectively. So the most important thing to speak about are the 3 themes that are going to be playing out over this month. So the first theme has to do with Mercury, which is going retrograde, which has gone retrograde on the 31st of January and will be going direct on the 21st of February. So this is a period of review and resetting. So we're going back to reflect on what is most important for us. So it's really useful during this period to look to see which house rules Aquarius in order to understand what the themes are that will be playing out for you. So once you know which house it's playing out, then you can get a sense of how all of this is going to impact you. So with Mercury moving retrograde, it's a time not to take action, not to move forward, because Mercury is such a fast-moving planet. When it goes retrograde, it's about allowing our minds to slow down, and depending on the theme of that house, to review in an Aquarian way what Aquarius means for us and how it is that we need to move forward with it for when Mercury does move direct again. So the next theme that's playing out is throughout the year we're going to be experiencing this tug-of-war energy with Saturn in a square to Uranus. And this is pretty intense. This is the old versus the new. And it's about rebellion and revolution. But we will get to more of that in a while. The third energy that we're experiencing and exploring is the idea of moving into the Age of Aquarius. And so the best way to describe that is the slow transition from the 3-dimensional world, the realm of, what we can see and touch in this reality, to the 5D, which is moving beyond just being able to see and touch. It's connecting to the fact that we're sharing this planet with trees and with animals, and we're not the only sentient beings that are on this planet. The fact that we are capable of having conversations with each other without using words or our minds directly. So it's really this slow transition that's starting to have, we'll see a boost in technology, and it's shifting the focus on the planet from the horizontal top-down heavy power, which are corrupt on the planet right now, to more of a horizontal egalitarian exchange where we all work together on the planet. So in order for these changes to happen, it creates a shift in consciousness, which is what has been playing out. And there's a lot of light rays that are coming through the photon belts towards the Earth, and it's really, really affecting us, bringing all this new light coding through. So on the 1st of February, we have Venus moving into Aquarius, and what this means is that we're moving from a theme of love into freedom and our uniqueness and individuality, but not only accepting and embracing our own uniqueness and individuality, but that in others as well, loving all parts of ourselves, all of our eccentricities, and learning what liberation means, learning a deeper form of love from a more free space. Then on the 11th and the 12th, depending on where you are in the world, we have the new moon in Aquarius. So this is a very powerful period because we have, first of all, Venus coming into a conjunction with Jupiter in Aquarius. We have all 6 planets now in Aquarius. We have Saturn, we have Jupiter, we have Venus, Mercury, the Sun, the new moon, and we also have the asteroid Pallas Athena. So Pallas Athena is like Joan of Arc. She is the fiery, strong, feminine goddess. So if Venus was someone more tender and gentle and loving, Pallas Athena represents the same energy but with more fire and spark. She's really very much about asserting her feminine energy. So she's going to be in the mix as well. So on the 11th of February we have the new moon with Saturn is the first planet. Then we have Jupiter and Venus coming into a conjunction. And so Jupiter is all about expansion and Venus is all about love, our sense of aesthetics, our things that we value. And when you bring these two energies together in Aquarius, you can just kind of do the math. It's this expansion of love and energy, loving energy, the expansion of that in a free kind of a way. So how can we bring more expansion and freedom to how it is that we love, as well as accepting and loving our individuality? We also have, so we then have Mercury, which is busy retrograding, so going through a period of inner reflection. And then we have the Sun and the new moon. So it's known as a Cazimi new moon because the moon is right next to the Sun. So a Cazimi means that when a planet comes very close to the Sun, its energies are intensified because of the power of the Sun. So a burnout is when we have the Sun and the rest of the planets in close proximity to the Sun. So what this means is that there's a reboot that is happening from the Sun with all these other planets that are in its proximity. So it's almost as if the lower vibrational energies of these planets are getting a reboot from the Sun, the power and the intensity of the Sun, which is shining its light on all these planets in close proximity to it. So it's a very, very powerful period, and it's really good to use the new moon as a moment of setting new intentions. So what is it that you wish to cultivate or to manifest, preparing yourself for the full moon and for the year there onwards. Now this whole stellium that's playing out this month is going to affect us for a very long time. It's kind of like the entry point into what the Age of Aquarius represents. It's the start of something new. And then progressing a little bit further on the 13th and the 14th, depending on where you are in the world, we have Mercury conjuncting Venus, still in Aquarius. So Mercury is now going backwards and it's met Venus, and it's still a moment of review, but it's also to do with love. So if Mercury is about communication and expression, it's how our minds function and think in an Aquarian way, which is around freedom and is about futuristic ideals and ideologies, as well as loving not only our own individuality, but the individuality of those of others. It's got a very humanitarian and altruistic outlook, Aquarius, but it's also about revolution and innovation. It's very much connected to the future. So when when Mercury in Aquarius comes into conjunction with Venus, it's about communicating love, how it is that we can communicate love, our sense of aesthetics in a more powerful manner. So it's the reviewing of that, it's the reflecting of that, so that when Mercury does go forward again, direct on the 21st, there's a whole new reset that has happened for us around how it is that we think and how it is that we communicate. So then on the 17th, we have our first Saturn in a square to Uranus. Now this is intense. This is, as I mentioned, a tug of war, and it will not be the first. There will be 2 others that are happening throughout the year. The second one is on June the 14th, and then we have one on the 24th of December. And so this has the potential to create an uprising. As I mentioned, it's to do with rebellion and revolution. It's the masses coming up against the elite, up against the top-down heavy powers, the powers that may be the corruption. So we may experience physiological phenomena on the planet, such as earthquakes and volcanoes, but it could also be political earthquakes and eruptions happening. And where Saturn represents the father, the structure, the old, what is tried and tested and worked, but has now become old. Uranus represents the young child, the rebellious nature, the streak of freedom that is wanting to break through the old ways. So these two are coming into a clash, and it represents the old versus the new. Now there's something that's needed to be mentioned about this. Both of these are in a fixed sign. Both of them are not budging. Saturn in Aquarius is in a fixed sign in air, and Uranus in Taurus is in a fixed sign in earth. And so, as I mentioned, there's this tug of war. But what is important to mention is that it's not just about breaking through and obliterating. It's really essential that we're able to hold some grounding. So how can we, in the end of all of this, incorporate a sense of stability and groundedness of some of the old structures that do work in order to move forward and blast through new realities, so to speak, with regards to the Aquarian energy as far as innovation goes and, forward-thinking, futuristic idealism. So this is a good time to really reflect, especially on the 17th and the 2 other dates as well, because you will feel it. It will feel very, very intense. Uranus is very shocking and disruptive, and Saturn can invoke fear. It has elements of potential depression around it. So there's this real shock element that's going on. And so it's important to reflect within, what's going on inside of me. What in me is wanting change, and how do I feel about this change? Is there a part of me that's still holding on? So because it's a square, we can look to see which house Saturn rules in Aquarius, and then check to see which house rules Taurus, and you can get a sense of what the themes are that are playing out for you, what the tensions are that you will not only be feeling within you, but also will be noticing externally on a global level. So stay aware, and it's a good idea to mark the dates that I'm mentioning here, and just so that you know what is going on and you can bring your awareness to it, because it's really important to keep as much groundedness during this period as possible, and not to fly off the rails or go off on a tangent. So then on the 21st we have Mercury going direct. So as I mentioned, that period of review can now be put into action, and all of the energies that Mercury has met along its way in Aquarius can now start being implemented, and we move forward in a new direction with new clarity around what wants to break free, not only within ourselves. What does freedom mean for us, for ourselves? What does our individuality mean for us? But especially with others, especially within our communities. And so we have new ideas and considerations around what that represents moving forward. And then lastly, on the 27th of February, we have the full moon in Virgo. And we will actually be doing a reading on that. So do, once again, select the notification bell to be notified, and do like our channel and subscribe, and you will be able to get more information on that. But it's the full moon in Virgo is in opposition to the Pisces sun, so it's bringing through some of the spiritual elements to the perfectionism and the practical groundedness, the earthness of Virgo. So it also so happens that during that full moon we have Venus coming into a quintile with Chiron, and Venus, as we know, is about love, and Chiron is the wounded healer. So when we have a quintile between these two energies, it's a reinforcing, healing, supportive energy. It's very similar to a trine, but not quite. There's a creative quality to it. So we find ways of moving through our wounds around love in order to liberate ourselves and break free, in order to understand the energies of bringing spirit through, combining spirit with the groundedness that's needed to hold us during these spiritual transitions that are happening on the planet. So there we go. That's more or less what's playing out over the next month. And once again, I do encourage you to check in your chart to see which house rules Aquarius as well as Taurus, as these will be the two areas that will be affected for you. And so I've got the tarot cards here, and I'm shuffling on behalf of the collective. And today I'm keeping it really, really simple. The first card that I'm asking is, what is Aquarius Stellium wanting of me? What is Aquarius Stellium wanting of me? And then I'm going to pick 3 more cards for what is playing out for the collective for this month. So tuning into the cards on behalf of the collective. And the first question is, what is Aquarius Stellium wanting of me? And we have the Ace of Swords, which is in reverse. And so I'm going to pick 3 more cards just to give more information as to what the Aquarius Stellium is playing out for me. Okay, so that's very beautiful. So I feel like the Aquarius theme is really enforced here, because at the top of the deck, which represents the theme of the reading, we have the 3 of Pentacles, and 3 of Pentacles is about teamwork. It's about working together. It's co-collaborating. So what is Aquarius Stellium wanting of me? And we have the Ace of Swords in reverse. So the Ace of Swords represents a paradigm shift. It's the understanding that comes as a spark of intervention when we realize and download new awareness or understanding. So because it's in reverse, there is something that's not allowing this to happen, and so we're needing this radical intervention as the Aquarius Stellium in order to bring all these powerful planets together and really shake us up in order for that paradigm shift to happen. So when it's in reverse, it means we're not allowing it to happen, and so it's needing the intensity of the Aquarius Stellium in order for those paradigm shifts. So Aquarius is an air sign, and the Ace of Swords rules air, and Ace represents new beginnings. So it's this new realization, it's this new sense of awareness and innovation in the Aquarian way, which is about teamwork and collaboration and community. And so we've got 3 beautiful cards to reinforce this. And the first one is the 10 of Cups. So 10 of Cups, you know, if 9 of Cups represents my happiness, 10 of Cups represents our happiness. We also have the Sun of Cups, which represents this new emotional opportunity for offering of love. And then we have the 7 of Pentacles. And the 7 of Pentacles is very much about reviewing things from the past, how they have played out in our lives, and what no longer works with regards to happiness, with regards to our community happiness and love in a group sense, you know, this new opportunity for love in our life. And so it's reviewing from the past what has happened, what has played out, and it's really discerning, okay, this has worked and this hasn't worked, so it's time to let go of that. There's a paradigm shift that is needing to happen around what isn't working, and the paradigm shift will also allow us to have new realizations as well as choices with how it is that we move forward with regards to us as a collective working together, coming together, and sharing happiness in a more balanced, equal way. So there we go. That's very beautiful, and I do feel that speaks of the Aquarius theme and what we're heading to. So if you once again did enjoy that, please do like and subscribe to our channel. And we always appreciate it when you leave your comments. So do leave your comments. And thank you so much for your time. And don't forget to write down your intentions for the new moon and to stay grounded. Bye for now.